Do you need to get out of your own way? Is that all that you need to do to succeed today? That's the question that stimulated this discussion that we're about to have, is this idea of getting out of your own way. So I want to start off by saying great morning.
Great morning.
Fantastic morning.
Yes.
Chicken and I were just joking around. We're on the other side of our morning routine. She's here with me today. I love Mondays because Mondays are the day that I get to have my chicken with me in the studio. So it's great to have you here, sweetie.
Yeah, thank you.
Gives me just a little bit of the black lung there. What's going on?
Yeah, black lung.
Yeah.
But also my lip is really dry. I
That's
think I'm
sexy.
dying from the inside out.
Nothing like a girl with a dry lip.
Oh,
I was just thinking about today, I'm very big on, how we wake up and creating a mindset. I always start off with the words, how can I help? And that always places me in the right, focus of service for the day. But I was just thinking about we were just joking around about the fact that we very often wake up as victims of circumstance. And I was just thinking, what's your theme song in the morning? Is it forward moving, forward projecting, optimistic, exciting, placing you in a future compelling state? Or is it something like, it's a hard enough life for us. It's a hard enough life for us. We love Little Orphan Annie. But this morning, I was saying that about chicken. I was saying that it's a hard enough life for chicken.
Thank you.
Because she has a dry lip.
Yeah.
So great morning, everyone. This is your boy Dragon coming at you. Very excited. I love this topic that I'm about to jump in right now, and I'd love some feedback and interaction. As a reminder, this is feeding for the podcast. That's at Rise Up with Dragon, iTunes and all the platforms, and in India now. I also have the Clubhouse room open, so we'll give it a shout out. If you're listening to this as a podcast, then you missed it, but we always run this live all over our socials, including Clubhouse. So great morning to Donna, Tony, Lisa, Jill, Catherine, Lena, Katya, Ada, Trevlin, Anne. Great morning to everyone. Oh, there's Anne. I don't follow you yet, so I'm going to follow you. Dragon is officially following Anne as well. So great morning, world. Excited to share my journal entry this morning, and it's called The Gateless Gate. And I just love I love unpacking and talking about things that typically hold people back, and it's a huge feeder for the personal growth, self-discovery world. Personal growth and self-discovery coaches wouldn't have any job if people didn't think that they needed to get unstuck and break through. Just imagine if we did not have the need to break through, right? Imagine if everything was fine and we were just in flow and we stayed in flow. So what's interesting about that, before I kick this off, is what is it that you need to get unstuck today? First of all, have you identified that you're stuck? I think unconsciously we're stuck sometimes, meaning we get busy with other things that don't move us forward, and we don't even know that we're stuck until we all of a sudden go back and check on the results and the progress that we make towards this goal that we set. Sometimes we forget about the goal and we don't even know that we're stuck, right? Because we have this great ability to forget about that stuff, get ourselves busy with something that creates the perception that we're not stuck and that we're busy. And I call that fake work. That was another rise up. So that's the first step. The first step to end suffering is the acknowledgement that you are. The first step to getting unstuck is the recognition that you are stuck, right? So that's the first step of the day. But then what I'm entertaining today in this rise up is, are you really stuck? Or are you placing yourself in a position with some unconscious thoughts and concepts that are not permitting you to move forward? I think we're in a lot more control of our future and destiny. So Chicken, before I start to ramble on, anything you want to input into this conversation, my sweetie? What are you excited about today? I know that you have excitement and you have challenges today. So the question is, what are you excited about today?
I'm excited about handing in my paper for school.
Okay.
Not my paper, my paper.
What's the value of handing in, like when you have an assignment in school
Mm-hmm.
and you get it done? Is the value getting it done, or is the value what it creates?
What do you mean by what it creates?
Well-
It creates freedom.
Okay, no, but it's interesting.
I'm done.
I had somebody call me this morning and say, and this is what kind of prompted me to do this rise up, even though I was thinking about it. I find that when I do a rise up and I think about something, those conversations pop up. So I had somebody contact me this morning, ironically, and said, hey, I need your help. I need your assistance. I just need a kick in the ass because I'm stuck. And it had to do with forward movement towards financial goals. They had gained a little bit of weight and all that stuff. So the conversation that ensued there was, I said, well, tell me the value of getting unstuck,
Mm-hmm.
right? I tried to get them focused on the value, and all they proceeded to do was justify why they were stuck.
Yeah.
And what I explained to them, and this is why I asked you that question, and this is a great tip for anybody listening. Great morning to everybody in Clubhouse. We're going to have an after party in this after. But what's interesting about this whole idea, when I say what's the value of where you want to go, and then people proceed to say, well, I just need to do this, I just need to do that, and they justify and validate why they're stuck, but they don't tell me what the value is. So probably one of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in life, which also prompts me to recognize why I spent most of my life trying to get into town in a rocking chair,
Right.
back and forth, is that I was always trying to move away from something I didn't want versus move towards something that I did want.
Yeah.
So that is what I want to offer you to look at this morning before I jump into this, is the idea of, are you going after something today so that it erases something that you don't want, or are you going after something because of the value that it has? Because if you're not looking at the value that something has, that's probably why you're oscillating. Because as soon as I'll give you an example for Chicken's paper. As soon as she hands that paper in, if her desired goal was associated with not having that paper anymore, getting it off her plate, well, that's going to be a temporary fix. And she's not going to continue to move forward, because probably tomorrow or the next day she'll get another paper to do, and then she'll go into that same process. So the idea is, what is it that you want? What's the value of it? Is it really important? Is it attached to everything that you desire? When my 15 Days of Discipline course comes out, it's all about that. It's all about creating something that you want that's so important that all of this crap that I'm going to talk about now, and all of the crap that we think holds us back, it no longer matters, right? Because we're always going to have concepts. We're always going to have these things in our head that justify why we're not moving forward, until the day that moving forward is as important to you as breathing when your head is underwater. So anyway,
I like it.
You like that?
Very wise words.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Mm-hmm.
What is today's Rise Up with Dragon sponsored by?
It's sponsored by Calmer Mind, which is, I haven't done my vocal warm-up, so I'm sounding a little lit.
This is a great advertisement right now.
Yeah, so I sounded like a smoker for a second. It's sponsored by Calmer Mind, which is a guided meditation podcast rooted in Buddha's beautiful teachings.
In all seriousness, we use Karma Mind every day, and it's a meditation podcast, and it is just unbelievable. It's definitely something that we want to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move forward with the Gateless Gate, and I'm going to start off. I definitely recommend, if people aren't driving and they're listening to this, it's a good idea to take out a pen, because I'm going to say a couple of things that I want you to marinate on today. So you're going to love this one, Chicken. So consider the well-known Mahayana teaching. Okay,
Ooh.
This is powerful, and I want you to think about it. All beings are inherently enlightened, but because of their attachments and distorted views, they can't realize this fact. Let me say that again. All beings, because a lot of people spend their whole life trying to seek enlightenment. Right? So what he's saying is,
You have to define enlightenment.
Well, Not today. We're not going to define it today. Today, we're just going to let everybody decide what it means for them.
She
But
goes right to the Buddhism.
all beings are already inherently enlightened, but because of their attachments and distorted views, they can't realize this fact.
Yeah.
So what's cool about that is maybe everything that you desire is something that can be attained. Maybe you are a successful possibility thinker. Maybe a lot of these things that you think that you're not are just due to what you think. And maybe what you think is not really what you think. Maybe it's what you've been taught. So, I love to talk about that.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. So we often struggle to move into the desired compelling future. So call that a goal. I like to call it a desired compelling future due to a belief or concept in oneself or in our circumstances. Man, isn't that true, right? And we're so good at justifying why we can't move forward. And we're going to get into that. So that belief in self or concept is not yours. That's what I contend, and was learned from the outside in. So I talk a lot about mother, father, teacher, preacher, right? A lot of these things that we claim are, right, with an exclamation point, we make a declaration. What I'm contending and I'm offering you is that it's not even your idea. It's actually something you've consumed somehow outside in from an extraneous source, and you've bought into it. So this in turn gives rise to another belief and concept that timing is needed to succeed. Do you think that success is on the other side of you finding the right time? Well, interview somebody that has success and ask them if they needed to wait for the right timing. So when we experience inspiration and motivation, that boosts our belief in self, and we feel excited and confident to make a run at something that we desire, thinking that we've found a window of opportunity and it's our time. So think about that for a second. Have you ever experienced, and I know you have you ever experienced a window of opportunity? So a window of opportunity might show up as you thinking today's the day. Maybe you built up to it January 1st or something like that. So a window of opportunity is this window of perception, and that perception tells you that it's the right time. All the moons are in alignment, right? You all of a sudden believe in yourself, right? You have a little bit of liquid courage, perhaps, from motivating yourself, or maybe you were inspired by somebody else. So you think that I believe in myself, I'm motivated today, and it's the right time, right? So let's call that a window of opportunity. So you say things like, this is what you say to yourself. You say things like, this time is going to be different, right? You might even say, it's my time, only to find out hours, sometimes minutes later, that, or even the next day or the next week or the month later, after you go on a run, right? All of a sudden you find out that that belief in yourself, that motivation, and that confidence close up again, right? And I say close up because if you think that you need a window of opportunity to move forward, what happens the moment that the perception is that that window of opportunity closes? This is a big distinction, and it's all based on concepts and beliefs, right? So what happens when that self-motivation, that confidence, and that window closes up again, like a gate? So here we go with the gate, like a gate, and therefore justify once again and give you the opportunity to say, I'm sorry, it's not the right time. I think that one of the most foolish things that we ever say as human beings is when somebody, which I think there's angels everywhere, and I think everybody's an angel working and delivering opportunities and potential for anyone. I think when somebody offers you assistance and guidance with whatever skill sets they have to be physically, mentally, and financially well, and you respond by saying it's not the right time, I want you to learn how to pause and question what you just said. I want you to learn how to pause and say, did I just get an opportunity to have everything that I desire and close that because my perception is that now is not a right time? How could we ever decide that it's not the right time to fulfill our dreams? Makes no sense at all. But how can we make sense of things when we're unconscious? So I forgive you for you know not what you do. So Let yourself off the hook. Excuse yourself. Isn't it interesting when you look at the word excuse, right? And you look at it as like to excuse yourself. You can look at that word of excusing yourself, but it's still the same word. It's an excuse. And see that, this act, this idea of letting yourself off the hook requires an excuse. So we all of a sudden unconsciously pick out of our big bag of bullshit these handy dandy excuses so that we can justify, because nobody ever wants to really be acknowledged as saying, hey, thanks for the opportunity to have everything that I desire, but it's not the right time. Nobody wants to justify and recognize how crazy that is. So we reach into our big bag of bullshit, we pull out an excuse and then excuse ourselves, right? So my offering to all of you this morning, into the unknown. Remember, success is an abnormal, unusual, extraordinary thing, right? We typically live in the safe zone. So I'm going to offer you this gift into the unknown today, and that is to simply start replacing exclamation points in your life with question marks. Now, think about what that means right now, because if you can grab onto this, it's not going to prevent you from saying stupid stuff. What it's going to do is it's going to help you catch yourself doing it. See, the goal is not to be perfect and never say anything wrong and never make a mistake. The goal is to recognize. Now, I just did a rise up the other day called drifting and shifting. And what we learned that day is that the goal is to catch yourself in a drift. It's not to become perfect and never drift off path. The goal is to become more conscious, because remember, we're only in control of 5% of our brain consciously. The rest is on autopilot, and we've talked a lot about building habits and things like that. So listen to what happens in your statements. Excuse me. Listen to what happens in your statements when asked when asked questions, or when you use question marks at the end rather than exclamation points, right? So now's not a good time. So let's listen to that. Now's not a good time, exclamation point. I can't afford it, exclamation point. No, this is not my thing, exclamation point. Now just replace those with question marks, right? Now's not a good time. This is not my thing, right? This is not my area of expertise. And you just put a question mark on the end. And what that does is all of a sudden, it just forces you to think a little bit more and ask yourself, is that true? Is that actually true what I'm saying? Because when we create an exclamation point and we put it behind and we make a statement, what we don't know is that we are choosing to be right versus open and curious in that moment. Now, if you want to catch yourself drifting and saying silly things before you get completely off track and then feel like you can't go back, just replace exclamation points with question marks. It's a real simple thing. So by stating things as facts, you create an invisible gate. This is what it is. When you make a statement and you claim it as a fact, that's what the exclamation point does. What you're doing is you're creating an invisible gate that closes you in and prohibits any further progress. It actually excuses you from further progress. Isn't that interesting? So it's invisible because the statements are not factual. That's why I want you to just replace the exclamation point with a question mark, because that opens up this idea that maybe I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, right? And just saying the word maybe is cool. Maybe I'm right.
Yeah, there's a lot of freedom in maybe.
Yeah, I love it. I also love saying, I'm not sure. One of my idols, who's probably one of the top 10, 20 smartest people in the world, Donald Hoffman, he will back up his statements with science and mathematics, like Goodwill Hunting style, all that stuff on the board. But then at the end, he'll say, but then again, I might be wrong because I'm only using the most accurate current form of science and mathematics to do this. But if a new accurate form of science and mathematics come out, I might actually find that I'm wrong.
Well, it's interesting because in my clinical hours now as well, I realize that it's okay to say, I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
I love it. What a great thing to do. Yeah. I don't know. Our kids are great at that. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. So It's invisible because the statements aren't factual. In fact, they're actually fictional. So try it. Change, now's not a good time, exclamation point, to now's not a good time. That question mark strikes curiosity and a sequence of fact checking that will uncover the excuses and uncover the gateless gate. You see, the gateless gate is just this idea of this closed barrier that doesn't exist. But how do you identify and see something that doesn't exist? You have to enter a state of consciousness because you're unconsciously creating it, right? And that's the whole idea of being unconscious, is not really knowing what you're doing. So furthermore, there are other great words that we can replace and prohibit us from labeling and affirming ourselves as losers, and self-talk is more powerful than we know. I love any of the clients and coaches that we work with. Part of the situation is that they probably are frustrated and think that we're pains in the asses, but we always ask for permission, but we always call them on some of the self-talk that they do. If you want to change the way you look at things change the way you look at things you look at change. Self-talk has a lot to do with that, right? So let's look at ideas of replacing words, not just exclamation points and question marks. So see, I like to personally refer to things like motivation, belief, timing, and how they appear to be both necessary and in control of our future. And now the key word I use is appear. So just by saying something like they appear to be, that's my way of saying it's just what I see, it doesn't make it real. So I love the word appear. Or adding, this is powerful, change your whole life right here, write these words down, adding the 3 powerful, open-ended, and full of possibility words at this time, rather than saying, I can't do something. Think about just saying, I can't do something at this time. If you add those 3 words at the end, what you're doing is you're leaving the gateless gate open for another time. So sometimes we shut the gate when we say, I can't do this. But if you want to just leave it a crack open, just say at this time, right? I love leaving my opportunities open. See, I feel that we control this reality because we control how we look at things. I believe that this reality that we're calling a reality, I believe it's all a fantasy, and we're the author, the director, and the leading character once we stop closing the gateless gate on ourselves. Think about what that means. If you're unconsciously creating barriers because of your concepts, and we know that those concepts and those ideas are probably not yours because they've been taught to you from the outside in, if we stop closing this gateless gate on ourselves, what happens all of a sudden is that we start to recognize that we're in control of the fantasy, right? You get to say good day or bad day. Think about it for a second. If you make a decision with an exclamation point and say, today's a bad day, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. In that moment, can you prove to me that there is nothing good in that day? Of course you can't, because you're breathing, you're alive, your children are happy, you've got a roof over your head, or whatever. You can always find a good side. So when you make a statement that today's a bad day, you close the gateless gate, and that gate prevents you from seeing the good side. So it's just about becoming open. So there's that conscious statement that we often use that unveils our ability to see unseeable gateless gate. We say, I just need to get out of my own way. So this means when you say that, when you say, I just need to get out of my own way, what it means is that we see the gateless gate, right? We can see it, and we know that it's not actually there. Think about what it means when you say, I just need to get out of my own way. In that statement, what you're saying is you are not a victim of circumstance. You know it's all a bunch of crap, right? And you just need to get out of your own way. That's another way, in my opinion, of saying, yeah, I can see the gateless gate and it's not real. So what's the solution then? How do we execute something that is really not factual? Are you actually in your own way, or is that the gateless gate and just a metaphor that we use to acknowledge it? I'm not stuck. I just need to get out of my own way. See, I contend that you don't need to get out of your own way. Rather, I think that you need only recognize that nothing's in your way. Why don't you take that step today and make an attempt at recognizing that nothing is in your way? When you say, I just need to get out of my own way, I'll say, show it to me. Show me how you're in your own way, and you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to explain it. So, including you, right? You're not in your own way. Nothing's in your own way. Draw it for me. Take a picture of it. Videotape it. You're not in your own way. You simply must release from the programmed concepts of what holds you back and focus on what you want and why. Back to that initial opening with chicken. All you need to do to get out of your own way is have a reason to, right? You're holding yourself back. And if all of a sudden the thing that you want, and this is what we do in our 15 Days of Discipline course, we teach you how to set a real goal that is as important to you as the air that you desire when your head is underwater. Once you do that, you're no longer in your own way. But if you say every day, I just need to get out of my own way, what you're doing is you're training yourself to believe that you're in your way, and you start excusing yourself from forward progress because of it. So, why aren't you growing? Because I'm in my own way. You identify as somebody that's in your own way. So refocusing on your goal and why and what takes you there, that's what's really important. That's how we start moving forward. So if this resonates with you, you're going to love that 15 days course. If anybody wants to get on the email list, I actually have a free overview of it. Just go to my Instagram at Rise Up with Dragon and just hit up my DM and just say discipline. And as soon as that comes out, it's like a half hour or 40-minute video series.
Don't just slide into my husband's DM.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say. Is that inappropriate when I
Hit
tell?
up my DM.
Yeah, slide into my DM. Hey, listen, when you're in a wonderful, life-changing relationship like me, it's inappropriate to say that. Right?
Oh, that's funny. No.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your Captain Dragon speaking. The seatbelt sign has now been turned off, and you are free to go about the cabin, fulfill your dreams, and explore this exciting world. Yeah. I love and appreciate you all. We're going to move into the Clubhouse room and see if anybody wants to unload some amazing thoughts from their brain and interact. And I love and appreciate you, and most of all, Chicken Man. I love and appreciate you.
Love you.
Bye-bye, sweetie.
Bye.
Have a wonderful day.